Hi everybody, good Friday morning. It's time to break down today's market action with Jim Cramer on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And Jim, markets are up on those jobs numbers.
Well, look, when you have growth across the board in pretty much every single sector and you do not have inflation, that's kind of what the definition of a very strong country, definition of a very good economy, and a reminder that stock markets go higher when things are good. I think that there's always been this kind of misdirection play of, look, if the market goes good, if the economy is really strong, the Fed can wreck it. I think that what people have to recognize is there are moments where an economy can be strong and the Fed is not going to get in its way. The biggest issue we have right now are the number of people that we need to be in this workforce. But it's a boom. And if you want to decide that a boom is bad, be my guest. But that's not the way I look at it. I think we're a strong country and we should have a very strong stock market.
And you just spoke to Larry Kudlow. You made such a good point that we should use this economic growth as leverage against China.
I mean, look, there's just a belief that we're an inferior nation, that we don't really make anything that's important, a belief that we don't have good technology, a belief that nobody needs our products, but we need their products, and that's all untrue. And it is true that NAFTA created a tremendous imbalance where it made no sense to build here, and you would only build here out of charity in the United States. It made tremendous sense to build in Mexico, and that's an issue. But our country's strong there, and we can renegotiate that.
And you've taken that analysis to specific companies like Boeing, right, that China essentially needs our planes.
Yeah, I mean, now there's some great stuff by our executive, by Brian Suzy, where he interviewed Molenberg, and he really caught the essence. And I want everyone to go read the interview. It's fantastic. But there's a big queue. This is my own view, not Dennis Molenberg, but there's a big queue for planes. And the Chinese need planes. They cannot make these planes. So we may think and want to sell Boeing all the time, every time there's a tiff with China, but China is not the only country that needs planes. The worldwide demand for planes is incredible. Again, why do we always think that we are inferior and that the Chinese own us? Now, this has been my own view for many years. People could say, well, this is a Trumpian view. I would say that it's my view. And I've been pretty consistent. I mean, when I interviewed Larry, Larry's my partner in 2002, and these are my views are unchanged. My views are that we're a better country than we realize. We have an inferiority complex, and this particular moment in time, you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
And just on Boeing, the stock is up $80 since your interview with Molenberg in December.
And I just think people should recognize that it's not done. About 16 points off its high. That and Caterpillar are always sold when China talks. Caterpillar's a little bit harder because Caterpillar does have competition, and there's not the kind of queue for Caterpillar equipment that there is for Boeing. But we should remember our market is precious to these countries, and our goods are often precious, particularly technology to China, and we just have a terrible inferiority complex. And I think this number's a wake-up call. Remember, numbers are, some of it is absolutely tax. It's very clear that tax reform has created a boom in this country. Lower rates and tax reform have been fabulous. I think there's a lot of ideology out there which colors everything, but lower taxes, as Larry Kudlow teaches you, lower taxes do produce much greater employment, much greater proceeds, receipts to the government. I am sticking by my 3% plus GDP growth, and I am just eternally trying to understand why there's so much Sturm and Drang about what's going on in the economy. Do I like necessarily the way that we handled the tariffs? I would have handled them differently, but I would do them because there's just no way that we should not be getting together as countries and shutting down the Chinese insistence of destroying the free market for steel. And really all we were trying to do with these tariffs, and just so people should be very clear, is we were trying to line up our allies to be able to say to China, go make something else. stop making something and subsidizing it well below your cost and taking our jobs away. Go create jobs doing something else. And that's what this is about. And I really think that people don't understand. If these partners and friends do not stick together against the Chinese, their industries are going to be wiped out. So that's what this is about. And accept that that's what it's about.
We got a tweet from the president yesterday. It just said fair trade.
Right. He's not, fair trade is, he's kind of right about that. What we really want is trade that is not subsidized. True, that's we want fair trade in the sense that we want to be able to make it so that they can't hurt us and recognize that they don't play fair, and we want them to play fair. It's just that the issue's more nuanced than that, and I would point out, go listen to Peter Navarro, who is absolutely spot on and explains it in a little more depth about the need to have a steel industry and have steel made in American hands and the importance of it, and puts it in a little more context so that it doesn't seem as off the cuff, because these are points that many of us have been making for multiple years. And it's important to be as articulate as possible, because it's not good for the stock market, but that's not what sometimes we have to be about. And it's not necessarily good for the cost for many people. There are pros and cons, and you have to be aware of and be more nuanced about what are the cons, but that overall say, listen, the pros outweigh the cons. That's kind of where I come in.
Jim, meanwhile, we got some retail earnings last night. In real money this morning, you say there's a buying opportunity potentially in Costco.
Yes, and I'm even coming around to buying opportunity in Ulta, frankly. But Costco is doing unbelievable comp store numbers. They had a measly, 0.28 degradation in gross margins. Costco, from time to time, does not manage for gross margins. It manages to take share. And when it manages to take share and to grow sales, sometimes that requires a bit of a gross margin hit. And that's what happened here. And I really think that people have to go really read the call, don't read the headlines, and you'll understand why Costco is good, particularly versus a lot of the other companies.
It's got that little subscriber base that you like so much.
Like it.
Jim, you had the CEO of Vici Properties on last night. I think a common theme between that interview and the ones you did with Carnival and Norwegian was the experiential spending among young people.
Right. That people are, they want to go watch a game, they want to watch the finals, they want to watch JR do the wrong thing at a casino. And it's a very, nationwide, and they own a lot of casinos in a lot of different areas. Yields 5. I've been doing a lot of work with our income seeker product, trying to find good income producers. And the experiential, I'm going to put Vici right up there with Cedar Fair and Six Flags as very good, stable, very, very stable cash flows that can produce very good returns for people. MGM Grand, too, we talked about that, they have a REIT, but the CEO of Vici pointed out that that you really want a conflict-free REIT. The Vici is owner of the Caesars properties, but MGM Grand REIT is owned by MGM. So you really kind of want that. I agree with him that you really want a arm's length transaction between the REITs.
Jim, what are you going to be talking about on Mad Money tonight?
Well, I'm going to anoint maybe a new Cloud King. Our Cloud Kings have done exceptionally well. I'm not getting rid of Workday. I think that Workday's number, when things settle down, people will come back to Workday. Some people didn't like the billings. I thought it was fine.
All right, we'll be watching 6 p.m. Eastern tonight on Mad Money. Meanwhile, Jim and I are going to continue talking about stocks. Please join us on actionalertsplus.com.